What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having an awesome Thursday. Thank you guys for joining us for another installment of Taking It Back. I'm here with my good friend Zach Payne of Red Pill 78. Zach, how's your Thursday going, buddy?
So far, so good, Adel. Glad to be here, taking it back with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to all of our friends on Badlands Media. Thank you guys for syndicating the show today. Very much appreciated. And those of you guys looking for Frank, he was having technical difficulties getting his show set up and asked if he could have the day off to make sure he was all set up for his 7 o'clock broadcast. So it's going to be Zach and I carrying the airtime here for the next 60 minutes with you guys. So there you go. Zach, let's just jump right in, man. I want to start with this wonderful piece of oh shoot, I lost it already. But I want to start with this appearance by E. Carroll on Rachel Maddow's show after the absurd ruling awarding her $83 million of Donald Trump's money for this defamation lawsuit, which is so absurd. But then you get this here, and it's so obnoxious, so insulting, so brazenly to me obvious that all of this was nonsense based on the attitude and demeanor. But let's just go ahead and play this. I want your reaction to this.
You've talked about using some of Trump's money you're about to get to help shore up women's rights. Do you know what that might be, what that might look like?
Yes, Rachel. Yes.
Tell me.
I had such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, you and I are going to go shopping. We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, motorcycle for Crowley, new fishing rod for Robbie. Rachel, what do you want? Penthouse? It's yours,
Nothing.
Rachel. Penthouse and France? You want France? You want to go fishing in France? No? Oh, all right, okay.
That's a joke.
Although if me fishing in France could do something for women's rights, I would take the hit. You know, I would obviously take one for the team. All right, let me as if.
I mean, have you ever seen a more disgusting display, Zach?
No. And, you know, there's an old saying, you shouldn't count your chickens before they hatch. And as far as I'm concerned, those 83 million chickens are very much in the embryonic stages. I think that, well, I mean, I've been following this very closely because it is a bullshit ruling. It's quite clear that the entire organization, the operation from the start was designed to do one thing and one thing only, to destroy Trump at any cost, just like every other single legal action, criminal, civil, or otherwise. And now that it's been revealed that Roberta, her lead attorney, worked with, literally interned for Judge Lewis Kaplan, the judge that oversaw the case, that made these decisions, that wouldn't allow Trump to present certain evidence, that even dictated to Alina Habba what she could and could not say. And then on top of that, that other attorney right there to E. Jean Carroll's left, our right, her wedding to her wife was overseen by Judge Lewis Kaplan. So it's quite clear this entire incestuous circle that they have going on has a little inside joke. And that inside joke is that they were colluding together in an unethical way to destroy Donald Trump and take as much of his money as they could. So I don't think E. Jean Carroll is going to see a single dime of that money. She is a classic textbook narcissist, and she will say anything that is required of her. She will do anything that is required of her. The only thing that she needs is adulation, attention. She needs to be showered with accolades. And that's why she's doing this whistle stop tour, going on any television program that will allow her to come on there and speak, just gloating. It's disgusting.
Do you think it's going to have the opposite effect of what they're hoping for? Because they're trying to make Trump look like a monster. They're trying to make him look like a sexual predator, which to me is just, it's ridiculous to even this whole scenario. But I mean, that's a bad look right there. Like the average person watching that's like, this woman wasn't sexually assaulted. Like that's
No.
not the tone. That's not the overall demeanor of somebody who went through something like that. Like if she was legitimately hurt by Donald Trump, assaulted by Donald Trump, she would be somber. It would be more melancholy. It would be like, the financial compensation is nice, but you can't take back the trauma that he caused me. There's no amount of money that can really make up for the pain and the stress that this has put on me, my life. That would be the attitude. This is I mean, like I said, it's just obnoxious. It's ridiculous. Like how I don't know how they think that's going to help their case when it comes to hurting Donald Trump in the public eye.
I think they believe that they've won and that there's no way this verdict can be overcome. But I don't think they're taking into account the fact that there are serious ethical violations that have taken place. And of course, the Trump team is going to ask for a new trial. Now, regardless of whether or not, whatever path that ends up taking, they see this as a win against the character of Donald Trump. Okay. They say, we've won, we did it, we shut Trump up, and he really can't say anything much about this now until it gets overturned. And I think that's what they wanted from the beginning. They wanted him to just, capitulate and not try to defend himself against the allegations that he fingered this woman in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. Date and time completely unknown to her, the actual year completely unknown to her. And all he said after the initial kangaroo court verdict was that she's not his type, and he wouldn't even have willingly gone and done anything sexual with her, let alone, sexually assault her. That's not a statement that's worthy of defamation. And it's so crazy because the fix was always in. I think everybody knew that no matter what happened, this trial was going to go down in exactly the way that it did. He wasn't going to get off with that judge. He wasn't going to get off under this justice system, certainly not in the state of New York with the way that it is. But now, unfortunately for them, unfortunately for Trump, all of these ethical violations have begun to bubble to the surface. And there's no way that it's going to go ahead and stick. I mean, I would be very surprised if they even, if they go to trial a second time and he is treated the exact same way. I don't see how they can afford to do it, because yes, this does make her look really obnoxious. It makes her appear as if there was no damage to her. Certainly there was no damage to her character. She's done nothing but profit off of this situation since she came out and made the claims. And then Donald Trump bringing her name up and saying, I didn't do this and I wouldn't do this. She's a nutter. She has been just paraded around ever since that time and held up as some sort of hero by the left, by the deranged deep state who hate President Trump so much that they will make up any lies that they can to take him down. So yeah, I don't think it's going to work. I think that for us out here in reality, we see this happening, and it just makes us want to take them down even more. It makes us want to support Trump and ensure that he gets back to the White House.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense too. Like she's Donald, like she's so beneath like Donald Trump. You think about like who Donald Trump is, and there's no way he would bother with someone like Eugene Carroll. You know what I mean? Like the idea that he would put himself in some kind of legal jeopardy to go assault an Eugene Carroll is such a joke. Like the guy could have almost anybody he wanted. Like why like just the whole premise of it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I tell you, they picked some weird heroes on the left, man. Stormy Daniels, and then with Michael Avenatti and whatnot, and now Eugene Carroll, like just total nut jobs, people with no credibility. It's really strange to see the people that they decide to use as weapons against Donald Trump. You would think they'd come up with something a little better.
Well, here's the thing. In order to locate a person with low enough character to make up lies about a man who is doing objectively the best job of any politician in modern history, you're going to have somebody who really isn't all that well put together. And as a result of that, once they're exposed, everything comes crashing down and their world kind of crumbles. I mean, you mentioned Michael Avenatti and Stormy Daniels. I mean, what about Michael Cohen? You know, all these people who came out against Trump saying that he did this or that. I mean, their lives are essentially in ruin. You know, I mean, Stormy Daniels owes Trump a large sum of money. She's probably never going to pay him. Michael Avenatti's in freaking prison. Michael Cohen already went to prison and came out and was proven to be a liar, even though they allowed his testimony to stand in Engoron's courtroom. And now E. Jean Carroll is never going to get that money. And President Trump is going to end up going back to the White House. And she's essentially going to die a pauper, I would imagine. Lonely, alone, still running around like a horny dog, making uncomfortable comments, such as the idea that rape is sexy. I mean, it might be to some people, I suppose, and obviously it is to E. Jean Carroll. You know, I mean, if anything happened at any point in the past, she probably rushed up on Donald Trump, and she's the one who sexually assaulted him. You know, tried to grab a handful and see if she could entice him to come and join her in that bed, in that dressing room. But I don't even see that as a real possibility. He said they never met. I believe him. He's got no reason to say anything otherwise.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know how this works in a civil trial like this when you appeal it. Can he get this out of New York or out of New York? Like, because I feel like if
No.
it's yeah, so
Yeah.
likely he'll be stuck in that same kind of hostile jurisdiction. So I don't know if I'm as confident as you are that an appeal or a second trial would go any differently. But I do think he should try anyway, because this is completely absurd.
I mean, they are definitely going to ask for a second trial. And whoever gets assigned to this trial, if they do not give Donald Trump like the utmost respect and allow him to successfully defend himself and ensure that there is absolutely no connection between the various parties, it'll just be that much more obvious to the American people that this is once again a snow job where they're trying to destroy him through lawfare. And if they do that, all that's going to do is just make us love him even more, bring more people into the fold, more people who recognize that, you know, hey, this is not, you know, the system with the American people against Donald Trump. This is the system against the American people and Donald Trump. And, you know, we are not part of that system. The system is what hates us. The system wants us to believe that we're on that same side and that we have to stop Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is on our side. And so we have to remain with him, and we have to fight against this corrupt, monolithic system that is working to destroy both of us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Why, in your opinion, have people like Juanita Broaddrick or Tara Reid not taken this same path? And
Nobody took them seriously. They were not afforded the same level of scrutiny to their stories. The investigations were stalled. They were ridiculed and derided by the mainstream media, whereas the mainstream media immediately jumps on any story that might potentially damage Donald Trump. You know, they kowtow to people like Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. You know, Tara Reid actually just filed a tort claim against the FBI, which, I mean, objectively, I believe that she should win that case. I mean, it's quite clear when she came forward, the FBI began something called Operation Cassandra. They spied on her. They were actively working to intimidate her, to stop her from coming forward and speaking out about the sexual assault that she undoubtedly received from Joe Biden. Juanita Broaddrick, I mean, you know, they ridiculed her. They paraded her around on national media years ago. And they immediately came out and called her a fake, a liar. And so, you know, it's a completely unfair playing field in the exact same way that the mainstream media handles virtually any claims that are made against their overlords, the people that they would like to see in political power, or they would like to remain in political power. And it's just it's one of the greatest violations that I can possibly imagine. And it's another aspect of why people just don't trust the mainstream media. They know that they're liars, that they're not newsmen, they're not anchors, they're not reporters, they're propagandists.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all of these different cases, it's like these accusers, they don't know where or not. They know where I guess, kind of. I mean, I think I go back to Christina Blasey Ford or whatever her name was with the Kavanaugh situation. She didn't know exactly where or when or what year. Same with E. Jean Carroll, doesn't remember what year. They don't have they can't put anything specific down, yet they run with it. And then the credible stories, from people like Broderick or Tara Reid, just get completely dismissed, ignored, or even worse, like you said, the FBI comes and intimidates these people. It's such a one-sided situation. Um, I how does it ever change, Zach? Like, how do we get this back to a place of some kind of fairness with situations like this? Because it feels like anytime someone good is trying to do something or get into a position of power, it's just like they just bombard you with these kind of bullshit accusations. The media jumps on and piles on. They find a hostile environment for a civil case or something like that, and like they just stack the entire deck against you. Like it almost feels insurmountable at times to get enough good people that are willing to go through this absolute shit show to make a change. How do we chip away at this and change this?
I mean, it's probably one of the most difficult questions of the modern age, but I think that we are chipping away at it right now. I mean, reducing the impact and the importance of the mainstream media and traditional avenues of information broadcast. We've done that quite well in the last several years. And I think that we need to continue to starve out these big corporate structures that are using their power and their influence to propagandize and to lie to us. Now, beyond that, you're talking about massive reforms in a whole host of federal agencies. And you're going to have to, in order to do that, I truly believe that it's going to be necessitated by the return of Donald Trump, okay, and then a complete culling from the federal government of all of these ideologues, all of these partisans that would work against the idea of America first and would work to the advantage of this deep state apparatus, the shadow government that has been operating from within the seediest corners of these various agencies. And that's not an easy task. I mean, it's probably going to take time. I would imagine that the entirety of President Trump's second term, there's going to have to be some element of that happening at all times. And then once we get to a position where there are good people in positions of power who are nonpartisan and who are willing to institute reforms, I mean, we're going to have to do that. There needs to be a whole new series of checks and balances on these federal agencies. And I think that most importantly, a vast number of federal agencies can be immediately wiped away, just completely disbanded, and allow the states to handle those specific elements at the local level. Because, the states really, there is quite a lot of difference. I mean, it's not like we're this homogenous 50 United States with, the exact same views and the exact same opinions. I mean, it really does vary quite a lot from state to state. I don't think we need to have, uniformity of laws and regulations all across the country. And it's perfectly fine for different states to want to protect various aspects of their culture or their environment. Perhaps they have different industries that they cater to. We've been able to handle interstate commerce for a really long time, and it's shown time and time again that the influence of the federal government really doesn't do that much to ease that process. I mean, it really does gum up the works, and the idea of red tape and just constantly throwing roadblocks into people and businesses' ways when they want to get something done. We just need to open up the doors, I think. I mean, we have a government that is just too involved in virtually every aspect of our lives. And that intrusion into our privacy has gradually allowed for the erosion of our civil rights and also our wallets to a large degree. There is so much money that gets spent by the federal government every year. And it's not like every single one of those dollars is truly going to the programs that they claim. There is a lot of waste. There is a lot of abuse. And our national debt, I think, is obviously completely out of control. The only way we can get that under control in some fashion is to stop spending as much money as we do. And you know, that the same goes for the situation now as it would if we were to change the monetary system. Like if we went to some form of currency that is truly backed by value, you know, be it like gold, silver, copper, commodities, whatever it might be, we're still not going to be able to spend as much money as we do because it doesn't make any sense. And we got to start printing our own damn money too. It's ridiculous. Who are we paying? Who are we paying for that money? I mean, I know it's the Federal Reserve, but who gets the money from the Federal Reserve? Where is that cash going, right?
Yeah, no, it's all very good questions. All right, let's take care of our first two sponsors today. First one is Beamish Metalworks, a new one. Attention Badlanders, in the heart of Malmo, Minnesota, a remarkable family-led team at Beamish Metalworks is crafting not just metal art, but personalized, timeless masterpieces. Beamish Metalworks is in a class of its own, pioneering metal on wood creations. Imagine a piece of art that is not confined by generic designs, but is a narrative of your persona, your memories, or your dreams. From the elegance of an office centerpiece to the wild spirit of hunting and fishing scenes, your imagination is the only limit. Dive into the realm of endless possibilities with Beamish customizations, where your space becomes a reflection of you with a distinct vibe that only Beamish Metalworks can offer. Beamish Metalworks proudly supports local heroes and events, from veteran fundraisers to law enforcement gatherings, embedding ourselves as a pillar of support and gratitude. Visit Beamish Metalworks today at badlandsmedia.tv/metal art and use promo code Badlands for 10% off your one-of-a-kind purchase. That's badlandsmedia.tv/metal art, promo code Badlands. And then we have our friends at Love Litters. So attention, all you Badlanders with purring pals and feathered friends, say hello to Love Litters. 100% pure kiln-dried wood, free from chemicals, and oh so kind to Mother Nature. No dust, no mess, and no toxins. Just a lightweight solution that's gentle on your wallet and even gentler in your home. Our biodegradable litter is crafted from wood destined for landfills, giving it a new purpose in your pet's life. Cats love it. Our astonishing formula works like magic to neutralize the notorious cat urine odor, keeping your home pine fresh and welcoming. For bird lovers, it zaps the moisture from bird droppings, crumbling them away, all while being safe if pecked or ingested. For reptiles and critters too, our mix is crafted to dilute the pine scent, ensuring those little lungs stay happy and healthy. Plus, every 30-pound bag of Love Litters will last up to 6 months, saving you money. Transform your pet care routine today. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/litter. That's badlandsmedia.tv/litter, and breathe easy with a litter that loves your pets as much as you do. So big thank you to Love Litters and Beamish Metalworks for sponsoring the show today. Guys, please go and visit our sponsors, check out what they have. It's a great way to support the network and this show. And also please hit that thumbs up button for us. If you're watching on Rumble, hit that red pill button. If you're watching on pill.net, share the links wherever you are. And yeah, appreciate you guys and all of your support. Shout out to Jimmy Bend, Oregon, hooking us up with a Rumble rant over on Badlands Media. Says uniformity with state laws should only be around constitutional rights. Everything else decided by the states. I think that was the original way this country was designed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have a federal government that is gone rogue. Would that be the right word?
I would say.
Yeah, it's gotten bloated. And has gone well beyond the intended scope of the role it's supposed to fill in our lives. And I think, you think about even just the name of this show, right? Taking it back. I think that's what we're talking about, is rolling back the role of the federal government to the original outline that the founding fathers of this nation had, originally set out. And man, are we very, very, very far past that right now, Zach. It's crazy how insane it is. What's crazier is how just completely unaware and ignorant the average American is to it. They have no idea. It seems so many of them have just no idea what's slowly being taken from them how unique and precious this country, our Constitution, and the original design of it really is, the unique and fragile nature of self-governance. And I don't know, I find it astonishing sometimes that people live their lives, many of them, without really any perspective of how lucky they are to be in this country, how young and novel the idea of this country is, and how quickly it can be taken away. And when it does, the darkness that comes after, because there's nowhere else in the world to look to at that point for a beacon of true freedom of expression, right to defend yourself, right to privacy, true due process, the assumption of presumption of innocence until proven guilty. These are all things that really don't exist in other places, yet we're so put to sleep to the point where we're willing to beg the government almost to take those things away from us unwittingly. It's really kind of surreal when you think about it, isn't it?
It is. And, I think part of that reasoning for that is, despite the relative youth of our country, I mean, we are relatively far removed from when the fight to actually achieve those things that you brought up took place. I mean, we've had a golden age in the United States since World War II. That really kicked off an age of prosperity and incredible progress here in a number of different areas. And gradually people just got spoiled. They forgot what it was like to toil, but that's really returned in a number of different ways. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we are fighting for this, trying to take it back to the foundations of what America was meant to represent and what the founding fathers intended. We need to protect our liberty at any cost. And unfortunately, there was a generation of people or two who just believed that our liberty was a foregone conclusion. And now we've found that that couldn't be any farther from the truth. The only way that we're going to be able to maintain that and to recapture what we've lost is to truly wake up to the reality of how much we've already lost.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that seems to be probably the only thing that will get us back on track, is things getting bad enough. Like I feel like a sliver of gray area between bad enough that people like wake up to the black zone of past the point of no return, right? And you just got to hope that things will get walked to that point and not go over the edge and reset the trajectory of where this country's headed right now. And when I think about what we've lived through the past 8 years and what we continue to go through, I feel like when you talk about the plan and all of that, I think that's basically it, is to let it get to a point so close where the majority of the population kind of resets their mindset and prioritizes their freedom and liberty and starts paying attention again to allow us to come back from this. So, man, we'll see. All right. Did you see the latest O'Keefe Media Group video?
I watched it this morning. I thought it was brilliant.
How the hell is James O'Keefe able to go undercover anymore? I mean, you can't tell me like a little bit of a lighter hair dye and a pair of glasses and all of a sudden
and a little bit of Faye in his voice too. I mean, what's funny is this is the second time in the last week they have dropped a video like this. Last week, he went Louis Vuitton handbag shopping with another guy, also another gay guy, working in the White House. And he actually, not at the White House. He worked in the House, but he was a Democrat working for a Republican, and he was very close to Nancy Pelosi, and he had met Joe Biden. And the funny part to me is that both times it seems like he's been real successful, like going on Grindr or perhaps Tinder and meeting these guys. And I guess it goes to show you just how sleazy men can sometimes be, straight or otherwise. They're thinking about one thing and one thing only, that they might end up getting laid. And so that just completely throws the blinders on. But yes, I was just as shocked. I said, how could either of these guys not realize that this is James O'Keefe? Like, the other thing that I thought, perhaps might be having an effect is that they exist in such a dense bubble that, while all of this stuff is going on, James O'Keefe is a rock star in conservative circles, right?
Mhm.
But, the only thing that they know is that, I don't know what they say about James O'Keefe. I mean, they call him a disinformation merchant, maybe. And I mean, they name him, but they don't often have photos of him. I mean, they know about Project Veritas because of the FBI raid, but maybe they don't know James O'Keefe. It's shocking to me that could be the case, but clearly it must be because I don't know. The things that he was able to get these people to say, couldn't believe it. This guy was a spook. He was working for the State Department and USAID, which is like the NGO arm of the CIA. Both of them are extensions of the CIA. And he was an intelligence analyst, I think, and he just completely let it all hang out. He said all the quiet parts out loud. Exactly what we think is exactly what they think. They just don't say them.
It's crazy. This latest video, he basically admits that Joe Biden has dementia. And so, I mean, this is huge, right?
Yes.
I mean, how do you not use the 25th Amendment to remove him after this video comes out? I mean, this is a guy within the administration in the know saying basically that, yeah, we all know that this guy has dementia, but he's still going to be the candidate in 2024. It's surreal.
And they're so beholden to that ticket because tradition in history, a presidential candidate has never been replaced midway through. And then Kamala Harris is so dramatically unpopular. She's so unliked, not only by people in America, but also people who work with her in the White House. But they can't get rid of her because she's a BIPOC. She's a person of color. She's a multiracial person. And he said that. He said as much, like, oh my God, African American voters, they're going to be up in arms basically if we get rid of Kamala Harris. But I mean, but he already said anybody who's black who comes to work with her, they hate her. She's a tyrant. She's not somebody that anybody wants to be around. So
you said they were hemorrhaging black staffers.
Yes.
From her staff. I mean, again, this is like absolute bombshell stuff when you hear it coming from within the administration, right? It's one thing for us to like read something off the Gateway Pundit or something like Jack Posobiec puts on Twitter or something like that, but when it's coming from somebody relatively high up within the administration saying these things, that takes on a whole new level of impact and context.
Yeah, this is funny. Our Cranium said, "Come on, Zach. Everybody knows Clark Kent and Superman look nothing alike." That's exactly what he did. He throws on a sweater vest and a pair of glasses and some bleach in his hair, and they have absolutely no idea. So I guess, a lot of people have always criticized Clark Kent and Superman, the idea that he could go out into the world and nobody would know who he is.
Yeah.
Like, people are just that clueless.
I guess so. Do you think at this point in time that it's when it comes to November, it will be Joe and Kamala that Donald Trump runs against, or are you in the camp that is expecting Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom or someone like that to come in and have like a switch of batter, so to speak?
I think that anything is on the table. It's entirely possible that Michelle Obama comes around. But I mean, what was interesting is that he said that she told him openly that she would never run for politics. But I think that it may be necessary if they hope to put any real fight up once we get into the full steam election season. But I don't know. I don't know if they, like he said, it's never been done before. And as crazy as Joe Biden is, I do think that he's also a narcissistic egomaniac. And it seems like, he is taking direction. Obviously, somebody else is putting together policy and stuff like that. And he just goes out and reads the cue cards. But I do believe that Joe Biden, wants to be where he is, and he thinks he's better than he actually is. And maybe he's also clueless about the fact that he is losing his mind to the degree that he is. I mean, I've never really had any interactions with people who have Alzheimer's or dementia. But the ones that I have, it doesn't seem that they're super self-aware about how far they've slipped, right? So, he's got 50 some odd years in public service. Joe Biden, he knows everything, but he's obviously a shadow of his former self. And even then, he was a pale shadow at that.
No kidding. Um, Yeah, I find it fascinating. I go back and forth, I feel like every day as to whether or not it's going to be Joe or not when we get to November. It's hard to believe he's going to make it there and that they're going to stick with him, given where the polls are and just how much he's deteriorating in front of our eyes.
I think there's only one way that they can pull it off, and that's to have a medical emergency, essentially. So he ends up having some incapacitating medical emergency, which necessitates the introduction of a new candidate. I think that's the only way that it'll work. I don't think he'll walk away willingly because, from what I understand, people were pressing him to do that even before he announced. And he always, when asked about it publicly, I mean, he seemed to indicate that, he had no intention of stepping down. I've said a number of times when people get their hands on certain things like on power, on wealth, they get drunk on it, and they're not likely to let it go easily. I mean, they want that high to remain, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was gonna say something else and it just completely escaped me. Oh well, I'll move on to something else here. You can see the strategy, or at least one of the strategies that developing here is the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift strategy, Zach. I mean, it's so freaking obnoxious.
Hail Mary.
They tried this in 2016 when they had like Beyonce and Jay-Z and half of Hollywood come out for Hillary Clinton. It didn't really work then. There was a poll going around, and it's something like 18% of voters so they would vote based on the recommendation of Taylor Swift or something like that. I don't know how seriously to take a poll like that, but what are your thoughts on this obvious psyop being run by Mr. Pfizer and Taylor Swift?
I mean, I knew it was a psyop when the CIA commented on the idea of whether or not she was a psyop. So I think, did you know about that? It was like it was a couple of weeks ago when she started like kind of, like being like everywhere all at once. Suddenly she's dating an NFL star, also, I mean, it was good for the NFL. I mean, their viewership increased. You had a whole bunch of people, young, not particularly attuned to football individuals that love Taylor Swift. They were now tuning into Chiefs games. They wanted to see if she was going to be there. And she was just kind of ever present. And there's all of these news stories like, I could give two shits about Taylor Swift, but they're talking about her in the Daily Caller. They're talking about her in Breitbart. They're talking about her in all of the mainstream left-wing platforms as well. So it's quite clear that somebody wants you to pay attention to Taylor Swift and they want her to be on your mind. And then somebody had written an article suggesting, is this a psyop with Taylor Swift? I mean, why is she suddenly everywhere? And then the CIA literally commented on it and said, no, Taylor Swift is not working for the U.S. government and it's not a psychological operation. But we did examine the possibility of paying her to put out pro-government messages, but we didn't do it. We didn't actually do it.
They really said that?
Absolutely. Yes, they absolutely did. And so I was like, well, they just confirmed it. I mean, why in the hell would they feel the need to comment on it if it wasn't for the fact that people had already figured their game out? So this is truly a Hail Mary where they're attempting to capture that youth vote. I definitely don't take it seriously. I don't think Taylor Swift would command 18% of an adult voting population. But certainly there are going to be people out there who are low information voters, people who love Taylor Swift and maybe don't care about voting at all. But because she came out and said, Joe Biden's our candidate, then they'll go ahead and do it. You've got people who are dimwits. I mean, there's just no way around it. But I don't think that she's going to swing the vote one way or the other.
Do you lose any faith in humanity over these things, man? I get so like almost depressed when I see how much people care about like a celebrity relationship, or like the fact that, oh, I like her music, so I'm gonna watch a football game that I've never cared about my entire life just because they're gonna pan up to her in the press box or whatever every time a certain guy touches the football. Like, now I'm a football fan because this woman is dating a football player. Like, there's just something so pathetic about it that it makes me sad for humanity. Like, I feel alone. I feel like I'm an outcast in this society. If this is what's important to people, if this is what people are focusing on, if this is why people get out of bed, it's like I said, pathetic is the only word that really comes to mind. Like, do you get any of that as well? Because to me, it just drives me insane.
I mean, I think it's unfortunate. However, I expect it. I mean, like, intelligence in the population is going to fall on a bell curve. Okay. You've got people outside the mean, inside the mean, and then on the far other side of the mean. So you've got, low IQ, middle range, and then high IQ. That's just the way it works. The sad part for me is that that's just how our society is structured. America, and I would say humanity in general, there's always been this effort to kind of hold certain people above and make them more important than the rest of the general population, to give people something to pay attention to. I see American celebrities as kind of the American version of the royal family. I mean, you've got people who are just obsessed with the royal family. It is largely ceremonial. They really don't have any place in society other than to soak up all that money and maintain these historical buildings. But they're not the ones who are making policy, and they're not the ones who are actually ruling the country. Here in America, you've got this political class that people are obsessed with, and they will idolize and kind of, ideate their various, loves and hates and project them onto them. But then even more so, you've got the celebrities, movies, music. Those people are constantly being photographed and being pushed onto the population. So really, I think it's a response to the sort of brainwashing and propaganda that's ever present in all of our mass media. And it is unfortunate, but I think that people can overcome that. And there will be some that can, there will be some that desire to, and then there are others who are just kind of in a zombie-like procession, shuffling through life, consuming whatever it is that they're being told to consume. And I hope that we can, as a society and as a larger group, rise above that, and people come to the understanding that there are so many more important things out there. But the powers that be that are pushing this ideation of celebrity onto the American people are very powerful, very effective. We're talking about like Bernaysian levels of propaganda here for something like this operation with Taylor Swift. And unfortunately, if the people who are going to blindly go along with that, I think those are people who haven't lost enough yet. Those are people who haven't perhaps directly experienced the sort of clawing back of your civil liberties. They haven't been forced to go through things. If those are young people that Taylor Swift is influencing, those are people who are probably only just recently getting out of high school. Maybe they're in their last year of high school, maybe in their first years of college. So their parents are taking care of everything for them. And maybe it's going to require them feeling a little bit of pain and understanding what the true human condition is about, because you've got to experience that struggle, because unless you do, you're never going to try to achieve anything other than what you have. Like, take that guy in Pennsylvania, one of your neighbors there chopped his dad's head off on on a live stream. He was 32 years old, living with his parents in a $500,000 home. His brother and sister, 38, 39, also living in the same house with their parents. Those parents had not done enough to push those kids out of the nest. I mean, like, they had been allowed to suckle at their mother's teat for their entire lifetime. And they simply had not been forced to actually go out into the world and to become adults like they needed to be. So I think that, that says something about many different people in society. There's an epidemic of adults living with their adult parents, and it happens for any number of reasons. I mean, if it's a mutually beneficial arrangement and it's better for the family that way, I can understand it. But I don't think this guy would have cut his dad's head off if he was really kind of ruminating on what was happening in his life. I mean, he seemed like he just never applied himself in the way that was necessary to make his life successful. And I truly believe that it's more than likely because he was never forced to do that. You have to be forced to go out there. No kid is ever going to leave their parents' home if you continue to allow them to live there and pay all their bills for them.
Yeah, no, that's really well said. I do. Here's the only bit of concern I have over this whole psyop, Zach, is we saw this in 2022, with the whole abortion issue. They got a lot of college kids to vote, right? They kind of created a new voting block out of nowhere. So you combine this Dropbox voting, right? You place them outside of college campuses. You give these kids who are typically unreliable to show up on a one-day voting situation. They're not gonna, but you give them 60 days to fill out a ballot, and then you bombard their TikTok with clips of Taylor Swift telling them to protect, women's rights or whatever, over and over and over and over again. And like I said, you give them 60 days at their convenience to go put their ballot in these drop boxes, and all of a sudden, what might have been, I'm just throwing numbers out there, 20% of these kids participating on election day. Now you have 75% of them at some point that have decided to take a few minutes and drop off their ballot at this drop box. So the combination of the ballot harvesting, different voting types, and the social media and the celebrity influence, I feel like it does create a significant voting block that we never had to contend with before. And I do feel like that played a significant role in a lot of the results that we saw in the last midterm election. Have Republicans done anything to combat this, or try to at least get similar turnout from college kids that might be conservative? Is there something that can be done to get in front of these people, get our message in front of these younger people as well? Because clearly the RNC and the Republican Party and the GOP in general has been useless when it comes to really changing these voting laws in any significant way to really get it back to a one-day voting situation. Do you have any ideas, or how do you feel about that whole situation? Because that's the one thing that really I don't know how we overcome.
I mean, I think you're right, but I also think that there is sort of a pendulum shift that's happening. I mean, there's also a pushback among younger people because they have been forced to endure this sort of DEI experiment that's been going on, and it's now to their detriment in a way that perhaps it wasn't before. Diversity is our strength. And they would say those things until all of a sudden diversity comes for them. Maybe they get canceled. Maybe they don't get into the college that they want to. Maybe it's just that they're so annoyed by all of the blue-haired weirdos pretending that they're cats and shitting in a litter box in the back of a science class. But, and as much as TikTok has that sort of brainwashing and algorithmic effect on the left, there is a significant portion of TikTok that is, filled up with people who love Donald Trump. And so I think it all depends on, which algorithm they slip into, how effective it's going to be. But to your question, has the Republican Party done enough to ensure that young voters are going to identify with President Trump and with the America First movement? I really can't say. I mean, I would hazard a guess and say that the left has had a stranglehold on the education system for a long time, And that overall, no. The answer is no. I mean, we really screwed the pooch on that. But on the same token, the adverse effect of the left and the DEI experiment has forced a fair number of people to start reevaluating what they've been told and how they identified and what they plan to do with their lives, and what will be necessary if we're going to turn this around in any significant way. And, I mean, I think that we need to be thinking long term on all of this. This is something that I see often, that people are looking at this as sort of like, a 100-meter dash, right? Like, we've got an election coming up in November, but then once Donald Trump returns back to the White House, we've got another election in 4 years, and it's going to be somebody else. We've also got ongoing elections in every state and municipality for eternity, as long as America survives. So this is really about, it's like the idea of like growing plants, right? You don't. I mean, if it's an annual, it's going to be coming back. It grows, it blooms, it dies off, and then you've got to cultivate it so it will return, and you will have beautiful plants, you'll have vegetables, etc. So it has to be an ongoing process. And I think that to overcome the stuff that we've got going on in education, again, that will require significant reforms at the federal level, and then the institution of policy at the state and local level to ensure that this brainwashing doesn't continue unabated in the same way. And the only way that we can make that happen is by continuing to inject ourselves into the process, from the ground floor on up. And that, even more demonstrates the perpetual nature of the protection of our liberty and the kind of shepherding of America through the next generation. It's not gonna end in November. Like, that's just going to be another waypoint along the way. Like, our lives from this point forward, as far as I'm concerned, are entirely and 100% devoted to the restoration of America and the preservation of our liberty. And if we don't perceive it that way, then we're going to get snowballed again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, we got 2 more sponsors here. We'll come back on the other side and wrap up the broadcast. Quickly, a message from our good friend Mike Lindell at MyPillow.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
All right, and we also have our friends at Flying Gang Rum. It's the perfect time to grab a few bottles of Flying Gang Rum. Flying Gang Rum is meticulously produced from pure Florida sugarcane, aged to perfection in ex-bourbon barrels, and then select cask finished. A rum so pure, it comes with no added sugar, colors, or artificial flavorings. That's right, folks. This is pure rum. They're on a mission to change how we perceive sipping rum. To Florida, it's what wine is to Napa, bourbon to Kentucky, and whiskey to Tennessee. This iconic rum is all about elevating the connoisseur's experience, capturing the rich history and unique character of handcrafted rum. And now, for a limited time, Badlanders will get $20 off their purchase of over $100 with promo code Badlands. So go get your Flying Gang Rum, everybody. And those are our sponsors for today's show. Again, please go support our sponsors, Flying Gang Rum, My Pillow, Love Glitters, and Beamish Metalworks. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already done so. Share the link to the show, help people find the replay. And Zach, I know we're maybe a few minutes shy of the hour here, but I'll wrap it up, give you some time to stretch your legs and get ready for your broadcast coming up in like 3 minutes. Anything else you want to say? Of course, plug your show, and let's call it a Thursday here.
Excellent. Yes, I'm about to be live at 5 p.m. Eastern on my own channel, Red Pill 78, rumble.com/Red Pill 78. And I'm live every Monday through Thursday at 5, and then Fridays and Saturdays at 9. Oh gosh, yes, I was going to say that Love Litters is actually super good. They sent me a whole bunch for my cat Smokey, and I don't smell cat pee at all. I was actually shocked and amazed. So that's a recommendation from me. But otherwise, it was great talking to you today, man. I appreciate it. And thank you, as always, for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the time. Have a great show.
You too. Peace.
All right. There you go. Zach Payne of redpill78news.com going live over on Red Pill 78 right now, pretty much in about 3 minutes at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. Shout out to Frankie Val, who couldn't be with us today, but hopefully we'll get him back into the swing of things next week. You could find all things Quite Frankly at quitefrankly.tv. He goes live 7 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, has an absolutely incredible show, one of the very best in all of independent media, in my humble opinion. And then, of course, my name is Adel Nero. You could find me at 412 Productions. I am on pill.net, Rumble, DLive, Odyssey, Clout Hub, and on Twitter at 412anon87. If you want to follow me over there, I'm on Truth Social at 412. I'd love to earn your follow wherever you give it to me. So those of you guys watching on Badlands, if you want to come hang out with me during the week, I go live at 4 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Again, my channel is 412 Productions. Come on over, give me a follow, stop by one of our other shows, say hi. Would love to hear from you guys. Otherwise, let's read our gold pill chats, all the support coming in over in the comfy bunker on pill.net. And then we're going to wrap this up and say goodbye for the evening here. And starting at the tippy top with our friend Floyd, Due Diligence. It says a tucking it back cookie. Thank you, Floyd, so much for kicking off the gold pills today. And thank you for hanging out with us as always. We got Allie B, who just purchased a 1-month bronze tier subscription. Thank you so much, Allie. I appreciate that. And big shout out to all of our monthly subscribers in the comfy bunker. It's a great way to support the broadcast and the platform. Ohio Kimmy hooking us up with a cookie. Same with Boys Blanc. Thank you guys so much. Luann V, cheers. Thank you for the can. Says, we're not doing White Claws anymore. So here's a Stella or Modelo. Your choice. I'll go with Stella because I'm pretty sure Modelo is still Anheuser-Busch. And we don't like those guys. But actually, I've become a fan of the High Noons. The High Noons. Those have been my my new poison of choice. Anyway, I greatly appreciate it, Luann. Sean Joe, thank you for the cookie. Trump Red Pill says, hey, 412. Thank you for the cookie as well. Trump Red Pill 1 says, the world is waking up. Yes, it is. I completely agree. Thank you for the cookie. Luann V says, James O'Keefe is Clark Kent. LOL. Thank you so much, Luann, for the phone. I really appreciate it. Uncensored Abe is going to be tomorrow's guest on our 4 o'clock broadcast. Very much looking forward to speaking with you, Abe. It's been far, far, far too long. Uncensored Abe is an OG from back in the PSB days, and very much looking forward to getting him up on the panel. Water Wizard, thank you for the can. Cheers, appreciate that. Trump Red Pill 1 with the 3 cookies in a row. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the generosity. Floyd says, cheers to another great show. So glad you enjoyed it, Floyd. And again, thank you for all the love and support you always provide this little broadcast. Trump Red Pill 1 with a couple of cookies. Thank you so much for all the cookies. How many is this? 5 there. 6, 7. You've been all over it today, man. Thank you. Water Wizard, thank you for the can. Says, thank you, sir. Cheers, Water Wizard. I appreciate it. And then Floyd says, after a show today, man, I would love to do one, but I am going to my brother's house to see my my little nieces, 3 years old and about a year and a half. I didn't get to see him last week because I was on vacation and I missed them very much. So I am going to go over there, have dinner, and play with the girls this evening. So unfortunately, there will be no after party, but we will do the Saturday morning chat this weekend, which we'll do our music and take your calls and have that casual, fun vibe. And I promise one of these Thursdays here, we will do an after party soon. But like I said, I've been missing my nieces and really want to go see them. So I'm off to go and do that. Let me release the scratching. We did 3,100 gold pills today, and thank you Target Driver for the cans. As backwards Stella is AB. Okay, don't fully understand that. Feel like I'm missing something, but that's okay. Anyway, the scratching has been released, so go ahead and get your ticket, scratch it off. Hopefully you're all big winners. And yeah, that is pretty much gonna do it for today, right? I think that's all the housekeeping that needs to be done. All right, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in, hanging out with us, and enjoying an installment of Taking It Back. For Zach Payne of redpill78news.com, shout out to Frankie Val of quitefrankly.tv. My name is Adel Nero, and this has been Taking It Back, a 412 production syndicated by our good friends over on Badlands Media. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, where we welcome Uncensored Abe to the panel for a deplorable discussion. Good night, everybody.